Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking closely at the really tragic events in Kashmir's Baizaran Valley.
Near Pahalgam, right? An area just famed for its beauty, those stunning meadows.
Exactly, and it's also a key starting point for the Amarnath Yatra pilgrimage.
But it recently became the site of this awful attack.
Yeah. Let's set the scene a bit. Pahalgam, it's more than just scenic, isn't it? It's a major tourism spot.
Absolutely. And tourism was booming. I mean, figures from 2024 showed something like 3 million visitors.
3 million, wow. And that figure, well, it was seen by Delhi as a positive sign, wasn't it? A kind of return to normalcy.
Precisely. A signal that things were stabilizing, perhaps.
Okay, so our mission today is really to unpack what happened during that assault between April 22nd and 24th, 2025.
We need to understand the timeline, who might be responsible, and the immediate fallout.
The ripple effects, yeah. Okay, let's start with the attack itself. How did it unfold?
So it began on the evening of April 22nd. Reports say 3 armed men.
3 men.
Yeah, they opened fire, specifically on the pony tracks leading up towards Baisaran Valley.
So targeting an area they knew tourists would be using.
Seems that way. Not random.
Mm-hmm.
Very deliberate, targeting those enjoying the views, the pony rides.
And the results were just horrific. The numbers are stark.
They are. 26 holidaymakers killed, over 40 injured.
26 lives lost. It makes it the deadliest attack on civilians since, what, the 2008 Mumbai attacks?
That's right, since Mumbai. It puts the scale into perspective. It's a major, major incident.
And the scene must have been pure chaos. We heard about eyewitness accounts.
Yes, there were some panicked voice notes from tourists caught up in it all.
Oh, wow.
And accounts from local guys describing just, well, pandemonium. It gives you a raw sense of the terror on the ground.
Can you imagine that sudden gunfire, the confusion? I read one guy just described how a peaceful evening just shattered into terror, people running everywhere.
Total shock. Nobody expecting something like that. Not there, not then.
So who claimed responsibility? Did anyone step forward?
Pretty quickly afterwards, yes. A group calling itself Kashmir Resistance.
Okay.
Also known as the Resistance Front, often just called TRF.
TRF, right. And they're described as an offshoot group with alleged links.
Alleged links to Pakistan-based groups. That's the narrative often presented, yeah. A familiar dynamic in the region's security issues.
Okay, so TRF claims it. What about the motives? Why carry out such a brutal attack, specifically on tourists?
Well, analysts are pointing to a couple of potential drivers here. One key idea is deterrence.
Deterrence.
Yeah, specifically targeting so-called outsider tourism, trying to undermine that whole narrative of normalcy we talked about.
Ah, so attack the success story, essentially. Discourage future visitors.
Exactly. Challenge that image of stability that the tourism boom represented. It's a grim logic.
Is that pattern common? Progress met with violence.
Sadly, yes. Historically, you see pushes towards integration or projecting stability, sometimes met with violent pushback from groups wanting to, disrupt that.
And the timing. Anything significant there? India's summer election were coming up.
That's the other factor analysts highlight. The timing suggests it could also be a signal.
The signal of what?
Of their continued presence, their intentions, maybe aiming to disrupt the political climate, show they can still strike hard right before elections.
Right, a demonstration of capability. Okay, let's talk about the fallout. How did India react? And the world?
The reaction was immediate and strong. Prime Minister Modi actually cut short a trip to Europe.
Really? He came back early.
Yes, flew back.
Yeah.
That signals how seriously it was taken at the highest level. He vowed publicly to, quote, track and punish every terrorist.
Strong words. And diplomatically. Towards Pakistan.
Also very swift. India summoned Pakistan's envoy, lodged a strong protest.
Standard procedure, maybe, but what else?
Well, then they took bigger steps. Suspending the 1960 Indus Water Treaty.
Whoa, the water treaty, that's huge. That's been in place for decades.
It has. A cornerstone of sorts, despite tensions. Suspending it is a significant escalation. And they closed border crossings, too.
So, real diplomatic and practical pressure being applied.
Definitely. Actions with potentially serious long-term consequences for the relationship.
And what about the immediate impact on the ground? On tourism?
Devastating. As you'd expect, airlines apparently scrambled, adding emergency flights for tourists desperate to leave.
I can only imagine. People wanting to get out fast.
And local businesses. Hotels, guides,
Yeah.
they reported cancellations just flooding in. Some said rates hit 90%.
90% after that boom year, just wiped out overnight. A massive blow to the local economy that relies so much on tourism.
Absolutely. The economic recovery hopes dashed just like that.
It's important amidst all this. The geopolitics, the economics, not to forget the human cost.
Crucial.
Yeah.
These aren't just statistics. Think about, there was a story about Shabnam, a local shawl seller in Pahalgam.
Okay.
Her stall, usually bustling this time of year,
Yeah.
now just deserted,
Yeah.
empty. It paints a picture of the immediate hardship for ordinary people there.
Yeah, the livelihood's just gone instantly.
And then the stories of the victims themselves, the personal losses.
Yeah. There was one account, a victim's brother in Mumbai.
Yes, incredibly poignant. He talked about his last FaceTime call with his sister. It was just an hour before the attacks.
An hour before. Where was she?
She was in a meadow, probably just enjoying the scenery, the peace of the valley.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking. That contrast. Peace. One moment then. Gone. It highlights the sheer suddenness, the brutality of it all.
It really does. These individual stories, they're a stark reminder, aren't they? The fragility of any peace, the real human cost when conflict erupts.
Yeah. This attack didn't just take lives. It shattered hopes, didn't it? Those hopes pinned on tourism, on a return to something like normal life.
Exactly. The hopes for normalcy, for a more peaceful future in the region, deeply, deeply damaged.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I find myself thinking about that image of the Litter River, flowing through Pahalgam Valley.
Mm-hmm. A constant presence.
Right, it just keeps flowing. But after something like this, does the sound of the river feel different now? Almost like it's carrying a sense of mourning through the valley?
That's a powerful image. It makes you reflect, doesn't it? On the enduring impact of violence and how long and difficult that road to true healing, to lasting peace, really is for Kashmir.